What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Sister Girl on Films, and we are back finally with season 2 of The Mole. Listen, Linda, listen. Shout out to this comment here somewhere on the screen. Thank you so much for bringing it to my attention that The Mole was even back, because I had no idea. I don't really be tuned into Netflix like that, so sometimes I miss out on stuff, and I really hate that I missed out on this, because now I am playing catch up. I have had to avoid spoilers. I know there are people who are already recapping the show, so like I am a week behind. Well, not quite a week. Well, yeah, this came out, I don't know when it debuted, but definitely before I got a hold of it. So I'm playing catch up right now. If you watched my Mole season 1 recap and review videos, you guys know that how my format was that time. I will watch the show and give my reaction in real time and then give my thoughts and predictions throughout. I didn't do that for my episode 1, episode 2 recap this time around, just because I forgot. I forgot how I used to review this show, but do not fret. After this video, there will be a marathon binge watch video for episodes 3, 4, and 5 in the format that I did for season 1. So fret not, my dear people. We will get back to business as usual. I just kind of dropped the ball this time around, but that is absolutely okay. So if you guys are all caught up on season 2, please don't give no spoilers. Don't spoil nothing for me. Don't spoil anything for anybody that's watching this review and recap. No freaking spoilers. Like, I hate the fact that Netflix releases all the episodes in chunks like that. Like, can we get back to old school when episodes would just be released one at a time and give us a couple days or a week and then one? I miss them days. I'm old school, I guess. But let me not go on my rant, because I ranted about that in the upcoming video. But let's go ahead and get into season 2 of The Mole. So episode 1 is called Nobody's Safe. And obviously that's the whole premise of The Mole, so I didn't think nothing of this title. But we are introduced to our 12 new contestants. So we have Muna, Andy, Hannah, Quaylen, Deanna, Michael, Sean, Ryan, Jen, Antonio / Tony, Niche, and Melissa. Andy, right off the bat, he's like the oldest. He's 65. He's like our decoy. My first thought was like, he absolutely is 1000% not the mole. I think he was put in as like to throw people off, because people would assume he would be the mole because he's of an older demographic and he might be unassuming. So right off the bat, I was like, definitely not the mole. Hannah, the mole. That's my first thought at this point. Soon as they introduced her, she did some little shifty shit with her eyes in her interview, and I said, oh, she's the mole. She gave a tail. She looked to the left or some shit. To the left, to the right. Whatever the tail is, she did it. Hannah is our mole, okay? That was my first note that I wrote. Sean says he's a stay-at-home dad, but then he also let it slip in his introduction that he used to be an undercover cop. And I said, okay, so he's going to be good at reading people, and he'll be good at kind of just like playing along and playing up this character of being a stay-at-home dad, because if he was an undercover cop, that means he had to really be a good actor and a good liar, you know, so he wouldn't get caught and be killed, you know, in a drug bust or something. And then we have Melissa. She's a professional poker player. I said she's sneaky. It was given sneaky to me the minute she came out. I don't know, it was just something about her that I didn't quite trust. It all kind of come into this clearing that's like the overhead view is like the shot. It looks like a damn crop circle. There are like people like peeking at them through the brush, and they're like breathing all heavy. I'm like, dang, somebody got asthma. Can we get an inhaler out here? And come to find out, the first challenge is really a twist challenge. So there's 5 people who almost made the cut to be casted on the show. And so these people were called intruders. And so the objective of this first mission was to stop the intruders from taking somebody's spot on the show. I said, well, that's cold-blooded. How am I fighting for my spot and I just got here? I don't even know y'all yet. So that is the first mission, the first challenge for this game. Before they are told what the consequences are for this challenge, Niche automatically is like, I'll be the leader. I'll step up. And everybody was like, shit, okay, you can have it. And so Niche in his interview was like, you know, I really need to show people that I can be a leader and I really want to step up. You know, I really want to take charge in these missions and these challenges. But then when they find out that the first intruder to make it to like these Jeeps and gets inside of the Jeep will take the leader's spot. And so after that, Niche was like, whoa, okay, wait a minute. I don't want to be the leader now. But see, you didn't open up your big mouth already. So they have, I think, like 10 minutes to decide who is going to be the leader. And if they make that decision before the time is up, then they will add $20,000 to their prize pot. And so right off the gate, Melissa is like, Niche, you done already stepped up. You want to be the leader? Well, go ahead and lead, player. And so because she went ahead and got the ball rolling, everybody else was like, I agree, it's going to be Niche. And so, of course, Niche is like, well, shit, I shouldn't have said anything, but I came back out now because everybody has voted for me. So Niche steps up and he is the leader of this mission. And so this little obstacle course is broken up into like 3 zones. So we have zone 1, which is like these slingshots. I can't remember who all was in one, but for sure I remember it being Sean, Muna, and Q. I don't remember the 4th person, but there were 4 people. And then you have the second zone, which was the eagle eye zone. Our guy Andy is the sniper, and so he's on like this little round little thing that Tony, Michael, and 2 other people, I can't remember, I think Hannah and there was one more other person, had to like try to balance it so that he wouldn't fall off. And so he's the sniper. And then the final zone, I forget what, I think that one was called the Eagle Eye Zone. And that one was Niche, Ryan, and Jen. And so they're all set, ready to go. The intruders kind of have their plan of attack of how they're going to make it through the obstacle course. And so boom, they run in, they get past zone 1, nobody is hit. So already people are kind of suspicious of zone 1 because why didn't y'all hit nobody? What's going on here? And then they make it to zone 2, which they have to go up to this tower and try to receive a key. And so Andy killed it. I think he was able to take out at least one of the 5 intruders. And so that left 4 more. And so at the end, the little eagle eye, the shooters, they were able to take out the rest of the 4 remaining intruders. So because they were able to stop all the intruders from making it to the trucks, they added an additional $30,000 to the prize pot. So the prize pot at this point is at $50,000. Once they all kind of get together and they get to their living quarters, which were beautiful, they're over in Malaysia this season. Jen, Hannah, and Tony all decided they are going to have an alliance. They are all in the room together. They feel like they trust each other the most. I don't know why they came up with that conclusion, but they are all in alliance together. Everybody else is kind of doing their own thing, but these 3 decide right out the gate that they are going to have an alliance. In a show like The Mo, that could not possibly go well for anybody, but that is the dumbass choice that they decided to do. So while they're all are kind of like at this mixer at the resort that they're staying at, there's like this random ass phone booth in the middle of like the garden or the yard. And so the phone rings and it's Ari. And Ari is the host of the show. And Jen volunteers to answer the phone. Basically, Jen was to tell everybody that they needed to select 3 of the contestants that everybody feels like they can trust the most. And then the phone will ring 3 times. Each of the 3 trustworthy people will have to go into the phone booth so they could either add money to the prize pot or they will get a correction on the quiz, the elimination quiz that night. And so everybody selected Muna, Tony, and Deanna. And so they each go to answer the phone, and Deanna and Tony both say they want to take the money. They're not going to go for the correction. It's the first quiz of the night. Everybody trusted them. They want to kind of maintain that trust. And so our girl Muna goes in. Now Muna, during her initial introduction to us, said she, as a Muslim woman, is going to be very unassuming in this game because people have this misconception that Muslim women are like very quiet and and very subdued and kind of just follow and don't really go into leadership roles. And so it'd be really easy for her to kind of fly underneath the radar. So when she gets into the phone booth, she takes the correction. So they don't add any money to the pot because everybody, all three of them, had to say no to the correction in order for the money to be added to the pot. And so, of course, everybody's pissed. Nobody's admitting to it. Deanna's like, I swear I did not take the correction. I took the money. And so Muna is like, I did not take the correction. I took the money. And then so Tony slips up and says, I turned the money down. And everybody's like, what? You turned the money down? He's like, no. I mean, I turned down the correction. I took the money. And so now he has a target on his back because they're like, well, somebody is lying. Muna is able to get away with it because nobody knows who took the correction. So everyone is headed to take the first elimination quiz. So everybody's super nervous because they just met each other and no one knows if they have got enough information about each other. Jen is a little suspicious of Tony now because he made that little oopsie, in his words. And like I said, Hannah, and Tony are all in the room together. They kind of have an alliance. And so now Jen feels like she doesn't think she can trust him. She doesn't know who to trust. And so it's not looking real good. And so, of course, we leave with a cliffhanger as to who is going to be going home after this first elimination. And so episode 2, Treasure Island opens and our girl Jen has been eliminated. And of course she is devastated because the game has just started. Like, they really haven't done any challenges. She really hasn't had the opportunity to really do anything. And it really sucks to get eliminated this early on. But I think that, number one, her forming an alliance with Hannah and Tony was just dumb. Like, you shouldn't have an alliance in this game. Like, you can't trust anybody. So it really should be every man for themselves. So the next day, everybody's all up, ready to go. A little saddened that Jen is gone, but everybody's like, it is what it is. This is the name of the game. But now we really have to make sure we're on our toes, especially after no one knows who took the correction, the day before. And so they're at a remote island, and so they're going to be doing a treasure hunt. And so everyone is broken up into 3 teams. And so you have Team Shipwreck, you have Ryan, Michael, Melissa, and Hannah. Already, I am like, this is the team to watch, because at the end of episode 1, Hannah and Melissa are on the top of my list for who could possibly be the mole. And Ryan is on there too. Not high up as Hannah and Melissa, but she is on my list. And so I'm like, I'm going to keep an eye on Team Shipwreck. And Team Raft is Deanna, Muna, Andy, and Sean. I feel like this is the safest team. I don't really suspect any of these people are the mole, even though Muna pulled the stunt from the day before. But I think that was just her being selfish and nervous about everything. But to me, none of these people at this point are giving me mole vibes. And then the final team, Team Shaq, is Niche, Quaylen, and Tony. As Andy was building the raft, Muna kind of told him that he needs to cut some of the bamboo a little bit shorter, but then it was making it harder to tie everything together. So that was kind of suspicious. Like, is she trying to sabotage, or is she just trying to act like a team player, but she really don't know what's going on? Andy was kind of suspicious of that too. And so that kind of puts Muna closer up on the radar. But for me, not enough for me to suspect that she's the mole. Again, I feel like she's just kind of a devious player, but she's not like outwardly trying to sabotage anything. But baby, that Team Shipwreck, that got Hannah, Melissa, Michael, and Ryan on it. Oh, baby, a mess. So Ryan basically kind of takes charge, and she tells everybody to kind of split up and go their own ways. And so they're just kind of going in the water, not seeing a whole lot of anything. And so Michael is kind of making jokes, and Ryan is trying to get everybody back on track. And so eventually Ryan stumbles across the shipwreck. And so she says she's a shorter woman, and so it's a little bit harder for her to dive as far as she needs to, which I didn't really understand that. Because, I mean, it's far, but y'all joined this team because y'all said y'all were good swimmers. And I didn't know that height had anything to do with the amount of area. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not the best swimmer. So she might know something I don't. But she gets to the shipwreck, and so she's like, Melissa is kind of struggling. What she was, child. She was, at least it seems like she was struggling with the swimming and all of that. And then Hannah, child, she just floating around like a goddamn mermaid, honey. She ain't participating in doing a damn thing. And so it's up to Michael. So Michael dives down to the shipwreck. He comes back up empty-handed. He's like, dang, that was much further down than I thought. And so they kind of get their bearings together, and they figure out that it must be the first aid kit. So he goes back down there, and then he goes to pick it up, and then he immediately drops it and goes right back up to the top. So, like, I'm side-eyeing that. I'm like, he had it in his hands, but then he dropped it. But then also, I could imagine that diving deep down there, it wasn't like they had scuba gear. So maybe he kind of panicked because he was like, it's so heavy, it's so heavy. But maybe he would just, got a little nervous, and just wanted to get air. So him and Ryan are like, okay, we need to figure something out. And Ryan is like, these two heifers over here are useless. So it has to be Michael. And so Michael takes in a big deep breath. He's like, well, you're going to have to come down halfway and I'll pass the first aid kit up to you. So they finally get it. And they open it, and it has like a little message in a bottle type situation. And so now they got to make it back to shore. Mind you, this whole time Hannah's doing absolutely nothing. She's the mole. I don't care. She is the mole for me. Okay. We go over to Team Rock with Niche, Tony, and Q. And baby, when I tell you they ain't doing nothing, they are just wandering around aimlessly. Tony is getting frustrated. He's like, this is so dumb. Like, we are doing nothing. Niche is in charge, and it feels like he's just like wasting our time, and he's just sending us on like a bogus mission, and we are getting nowhere closer to where we're supposed to. And then Q is just like, there should be like something here. Like, we are just walking around aimlessly. And so he sees like markings on these rocks, and then the clue is like, count your steps backwards or something like that. And so Q finally finds the clue, and then they're able to find their path into like this big old formation of rocks. And then there's like the clue is up in the trees, and so they have a knife in like this little bag, and so they're able to cut it down. They get it, and then they make it back over to where everybody else is with the raft. And overall, all the teams are doing terrible. All of them are doing awful. The only team that might be seemingly doing more work is the Team Raft. And I think that's because it's so hands-on that if the mole is on that team, it would be very obvious that they're trying to sabotage. But everybody finally gets together. They have the two clues together, and they realize that they have to take everything they have to make it out to the buoy, out into the middle of the ocean. The way out there, the raft starts to fall apart. And so everybody's freaking out because now the treasure is starting to go back in the water. They have like these barrels that are supposed to make it on there, that are part of the raft that's supposed to help it float. So everybody's like trying to keep it afloat. And Andy feels like it's real suspicious because he's like, whoever is pushing this raft has to be the person that sabotaged this, because I know I tied everything great and it was fine until it got in the water. I mean, but also it didn't have a bunch of weight on it too. So Andy, it could have been your ability to make a raft, or it could have been sabotage. I don't know, because Hannah did have her hand on that damn raft. She had her hand on the raft now. I'm just gonna say. But then also Muna was all like out. She wasn't helping at all. She was just kind of floating in the water too. So I kind of was peeping that as well. But it was too hard to tell if it was just happenstance that the raft kind of fell apart, or if it was actual sabotage. So we're gonna have to put a pin in that, because we don't have any conclusive evidence on that. But Andy has his eye on Niche and Tony and Muna, because he feels like something was afoot over here with this raft. They complete the mission. They get money added to the pot. And so next we're up to the exemption challenge. And every contestant has the opportunity to win an exemption from the upcoming elimination quiz. It always costs something. So there's always going to be a chance that money will be taken from the pot in order to get this exemption. And this is when shit starts to get real dicey. So they're at like this little bar or whatever. And so a TV comes on and it has their prize pot. I think the prize pot at that point was at $45,000. And so Ari lets them know, like, you guys are going to have to wait it out. So when time starts, the money in your pot will start to decrease. And the only way to stop it is that everybody has to get up and say they don't want the exemption. And once everybody has stopped, then either nobody will get the exemption if everybody refuses to do it, or the last man standing or sitting wins the exemption. And so everybody is kind of sitting there, and I'm thinking like, everybody should immediately got up, because everybody's like, you guys are just going to let the money run down to zero. And I'm like, you all are sitting there letting the money run down to zero. Like, what are we talking about? And so Melissa is finally like the first person to say, this is dumb. Like, I'm out. I don't want the exemption. I'm over it.
I'm out. I would like to leave with a suggestion. Mission 1, I nominated Niche. Fair thing to do in this situation is let him have it and just take that, pay back, get out of here with some money still in our pot.
And so she is the first one to take herself out of the running. And so Hannah's like, I'm staying here. I don't care. And Tony was like, well, I'm staying here too. It's not about the money for me. It's about winning. And so Q is pissed off. And
you can't win if you ain't got no money. We're not supposed to take your money out. That's the mole's job to take the money out. You come on the show to win money, not to lose money.
Mind you, Q is saying all this while his ass is still sitting in the seat. So what are you doing? Like, why are you having this big, like, I'm standing on business moment, and you sitting down is still causing the money from the pot to continue to decrease? So who is you trying to fool? And so eventually Deanna, I think she's like the second one to say that she's out. Eventually they all start to say, okay, I don't want to see our money go down to zero. I don't want the exemption. And so we finally get down to Hannah and Tony are the last two standing. And so they're sitting up here flirting with each other, and Hannah is like, I know that Tony has a crush on me, and so I'm not used to guys telling me no, so I'll be able to convince him to give me the exemption. And so while they're just sitting here like, ooh, I love this. This is great. Like, we're having a great time.
All scared to get eliminated.
I'll tell you what, I'll get more comfortable because I know we're going to be here for a minute. Chilling, no stress.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I'm selfish.
We're about to hit 20.
Everybody else is pissed. They're like, are you guys serious? Because the money is just rolling out. At this point, they're at like $20,000. They didn't went down $25,000 because these two want to go back and forth flirting and shit with each other. That is the cliffhanger that we're left with on the end of episode 2, with Tony and Hannah sitting here with googly eyes laughing as like the money pot is just dwindling down to zero. Right now, for Mo, the people at the top of my list is Hannah, Q, Michael, Andy, and Muna. Those are the people that are on my list. Those are my top 5 right now. So I don't know where that's going to take me, but what I will say is that Hannah and Tony pissed me off. I would have been so mad if I were a part of the contestants watching these two fools flirting and laughing while our money is just dwindling down to zero. And Hannah's like, I'm willing to sit here and be the last one. Like, what difference does it make if you get an exemption from a quiz for a pot that ain't got no damn money in it? That don't make no damn sense. So for me, that is definitely given like direct in your face Mo behavior. That's why she's at the top of my list. But Q, all of that, he was the loudest one in the room talking about how they need to get it together and it's about money and this is a lot of money. Even Muna said the same thing, talking about how, you know, her parents are immigrants from Somalia and they know what it's like to come from nothing. Girl, you doing all this speech and you're still sitting down while the money is going down. So what are we talking about? So they were blowing smoke up people's ass, I guess, to get people to get up. But I'm like, but you're also not getting up. So I don't feel bad for either one of y'all. But that was episode 1 and 2. I kind of just flew through that right quick because I need to get this edited and put out because I got a big video coming out with episodes 3, 4, and 5 all at the same time, y'all. Lord, so y'all better be over here watching these videos and this recap, honey. So y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What you think about episode 1 and 2 of The Mole? Who do you think is the mole at this point of the game? Do not give any spoilers, okay? None. Focus your attention only on episodes 1 and 2. That's it in this video, okay? I have episodes 3, 4, and 5 coming up, so we'll have more to talk about then, but do not give no spoilers on episode 1 and 2. Just tell me at this point in time, with these contestants, who you think the mole is. And as always, y'all, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'm going to see you guys next week for episode 6 of The Mole season 2. Hopefully at the time that this video gets uploaded, episodes 3, 4, and 5 should be up tomorrow or the day after, because it's a longer video, so it might take me a little bit more to edit, but I'm gonna try to get it out ASAP. So I'm gonna see y'all next week for episode 6 of The Mole season 2. Bye, y'all.